You are what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking for.
In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this absolutely beautiful little card folio using the 49 and Market ARToptions Plum Grove collection. This is just an absolutely beautiful paper pack, and we're going to create a little folio that has pockets and these cute little 3x4 cards and matching envelopes. And this little set will have 6 cards and 6 envelopes with a magnetic closure. And I've created all of this using just pattern paper and glue. So this is a really fun project, and it's simple enough to create using any pattern paper that you have in your stash. I'll walk you through all of the steps and measurements. So let's get to work. We're going to start by taking a look at the 12x12 paper collection. And again, this is the ARToptions Plum Grove collection. And this is nice heavyweight double-sided paper with beautiful patterns and colors and a distressed vibe to it, which I really love. So I'm just flipping through trying to decide which paper I want to use for my front cover. I settled on this gorgeous paper because when I close my little folio, that beautiful floral pattern is going to be the front cover. So I'm going to take all the rest of these papers and I'm just going to put them off to the side. I don't need any more of these. I'm going to pull in my paper trimmer and I'm going to start by cutting off the branding strip. This strip has the company brand on it, but on the back side of it, it has a beautiful floral pattern that you can use in your projects as well. So save that, don't throw it away. I'm going to start by cutting this cover down to 7x12 inches, and I'm keeping that beautiful floral in the top right corner because I want to make sure that that's going to be the front of my folio. And then the piece that's left over, I'm going to pop this in the trimmer and I'm going to cut it down to 4.5 inches. And then I'm going to create 2 little pockets out of this, cutting it down to 5.5 inches. So my 2 pockets will measure 4.5 by 5.5. Now I'm cutting my pockets out of the left and right of this piece of paper, not using the center piece because it's not as decorative and a little bit more plain. So I wanted to cut that piece away rather than cut away some of the florals. Okay, now I'm going to grab my scoreboard and I'm going to score my cover. I'm going to start by scoring at 6 inches, right in the center across the 12-inch side. And then I'm going to take my score tool and I'm going to move 1 notch to the left. So 1/8 of an inch to the left of the 6-inch mark and 1/8 of an inch to the right of the 6-inch mark. So what this is going to do is create a little gusset so that when I fill this with all of my envelopes and cards, there's not going to be too much stress on the spine of this little folio. So that just kind of helps and it creates a little rounded edge. All right, so now we're going to move along over to these pockets and we're going to get them cut up so that they're rounded on one side. And to do that, I'm going to place the 2 patterns that I want to show upright. I'm going to flip them and face them on top of each other. And then I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm just going to draw a rounded edge on the right-hand corner, the right-hand top corner of this one piece. And I'm going to hold them together nice and tight and take my time and cut that little pencil mark. So I'm just going to cut along it and I'm going to create a little arch in the paper, and I want to make sure I don't get any rough edges and that my cutting is nice and smooth. And then my pockets will be symmetrical and I can pop them into the corner and they'll be the exact same shapes on both sides. So I'll apply some glue to the straight edges of this piece. So for the first pocket, I'm applying it to the left side and the bottom, and leaving the right side and the top open. And I'll just line that up right into the corner of my folio. And then I'll do the same thing to the other side. And then boom, we have 2 matching pockets. Super easy. And now we're done with the folio. We can set this aside and go work on the elements to put inside of this. For the next step, I'm going to use the ARToptions 6x8 collection pack, and this is the same Plum Grove. It's got the same style patterns on it, just a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to flip through here and pull out a bunch of the ones that I want to use to create my little note cards. So I'm going to need 3 patterns for my note cards. I'll get 2 cards out of each piece of paper, And then I'm going to need 6 pieces to create my envelopes. Now, if you don't have the 6x8 collection and you just have 12x12, you could also use the 12x12 and cut them apart to create envelopes and cards. I will leave in the description box down below the measurements that you'll need to create this project out of 12x12 cardstock if you don't have any of the 6x8. So we'll start by cutting this down across the 8-inch side. We'll cut at 4 inches. And I'm going to do that to 3 pieces. And this will give me 4 cards that measure 4 by 6. I'm going to set those aside, and then I'm going to go work on cutting the envelopes. Since I have my cutter out across the 8-inch side, I'm going to cut this down to 7 inches. So we'll have 6 pieces that measure 6 by 7. I'm going to save all of these extra scraps cut off from the envelope pieces, and we're going to use those later on. I'm also being mindful of the 1 inch that I'm cutting off on the envelope pieces, and you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So once I have all of my card bases and my envelope bases prepped and ready, I'm going to start scoring the card bases across the 6-inch side. I'm going to score at 3 inches. Then I'm just going to burnish the score mark with my bone folder and do that for all 6 cards. And now the cards are ready to go. I'm not going to decorate these any farther. I'm just going to leave them blank so that when the recipient decides to use them, they can add in a little piece of paper, or if the pattern is too dark, they can write with a gel pen, or whatever they decide to do. All right, so let's move along to the envelope. Here is where you want to be mindful of the orientation of the pattern on your envelope. When you create this little envelope, the top piece there, that's going to be the piece that folds over top of the envelope and what you're going to see. And then on the back side of the paper, that's what's going to be on the inside of the envelope. So that's what I mean by paying attention to the piece that you're cutting away. All right, so let's score this envelope across the 6-inch side at 3/4 of an inch and 5 1/4 inch, and then rotate and score at 1 1/2 and 4 3/4. Okay, I'm going to do this to all 6 of my patterns. And now I'm going to mark the areas on the paper that we're going to cut away. There are these 4 corners here that I've outlined in black pen so that you can see. I'm going to follow along the score marks that I have in the paper and just cut those little 4 corners away. And now you can see our envelope starting to form. If you've created any of my envelope templates previously, this is the exact same way, it's just a different measurement. And now the next thing I'm going to do is come in and angle cut the 4 corners on those little flaps that are sticking out. I'm just going to mark at about a 45-degree angle with my black pen, and then I'll take my scissors and cut those corners away. Now this isn't really going to matter. You're not really going to notice this too much, and if the cuts aren't very straight or crooked, it's not a big deal. You're only going to see the 2 little top pieces, but then again, it'll be covered by the envelope flap anyhow, so I wouldn't really worry too much about getting these perfect. The idea here is just to take out that extra little bulk of paper so that the envelope folds together nicely. Next, I'm going to grab my bone folder and start creasing all of these folds. And now what you'll notice is you'll have the 2 little small flaps on the side. We're going to fold those in. And then you have a larger flap and a smaller flap. The smaller flap will be the envelope closure, where you're going to add your little adhesive or little die cuts to tuck the flap into close. And the larger flap is going to fold up to create the little envelope pocket. And that little piece is where we're going to add adhesive. So I'm just going to apply adhesive to the 2 ends. And then I'm going to fold them up and press them into place. And then that's it. Your envelope is complete. Super simple and really cute. I like to round the corners on my envelope flaps. I feel like it gives a nice finishing touch. And voila, our little envelope is complete. And I'm going to pop my little card inside of here, close it up, and there we go. We have these cute little note cards. Great for gift cards or just a little thank you or a hello or to add to a present. So I have all 6 of my envelopes and all 6 of my cards ready to go. And now I'm going to pull my cover back in and start working on finishing this off. The first thing I'm going to do is create a little belly band on each pocket where I can slip in my cards. And now I'm just using some of those scraps from the envelope pieces that I cut away. And I'm going to line them up on the the front of the pocket where I think I want it to be, and I'm going to use an extra piece of that cardstock sort of as a ruler to line these two pieces up so that they're lined up on a straight line. And I'm just going to apply adhesive to the left and the right, leaving that center open. And I'll cut off any excess. And then I'm also going to grab a little bit of the fabric washi tape. This is also from the Plum Grove collection, and it's strips of fabric. It's really pretty. It's not something I've ever used before. I really love the feel of this tape. So I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue across the center of my little belly band and apply a piece of that piece of fabric tape right across the center on both sides. I'll snip off the excess, and then there we go. The little pockets are complete. You can add extra embellishment here. You could add little die cuts to dress it up, whatever you want to do. But for me, that's it. I'm going to leave it just like this. You can let your creativity flow here and, step it up and make it pretty. But that's going to be it for the inside of my little folio. So I'm going to tuck 3 envelopes into each pocket, and I'm just fussing with them, trying to make them straight and pretty. It doesn't really matter. They don't have to be perfect. I'm just going to slide those envelopes in there, and I'm opening them up so that they're as flat as possible, so that there's not extra bulk. And the same for the cards. I open them up all the way so that the folio is not too thick, and I slide them into those little belly bands, and I put 3 on each side, and there we go. The inside of the folio is complete. The next thing I want to do is create a little closure for my folio. I'm going to go back to those scraps, and I'm going to create a little wraparound magnetic closure. So I've got a scrap here, and I'm going to add an extra little strip right down the center of that scrap just to dress it up a bit. I really love that plum colored piece of cardstock. So I'm just going to apply some tape here. I'm not using my liquid glue because this is going to be curved. I feel like the liquid glue could get crunchy and maybe break. So I feel like the tape runner is more pliable and I can bend this. So what I want to do is take my bone folder and curve the paper. I'm just going to curl it around into like a half circle. So I'm going to have this wrap around the front of my folio from the back to the front. So curling it just helps it go into the shape that I want it to be. So I'm just working it in there. And then once I'm done, I'm going to grab my corner rounder and round all 4 corners. I feel like it just adds that extra little finishing touch. And then I also decided to do the same to my folio. I wanted to round the corners to soften the look, and I feel like there's something about a rounded corner that gives it a professional finished touch. I really love that look. So I'll go ahead and do that to all 4 corners of my folio. Alrighty, next thing we're going to do is apply that little strip. I'm going to add adhesive to just about 2 inches, and I'm going to glue it to the back of my folio, just in the center. I'm eyeballing here. I'm not being too precise. And then I'll have that little piece wrap around the front. All right, I'm going to grab a couple of magnets. These are some basic gray magnets, and we have a plus and a minus. I just keep them in this little plastic container so that they're all together because they do like to stick. And so I grabbed out 1 plus and 1 minus. I'm also going to grab some of the die cut ephemera and also some of the laser cut flowers. And these are all items in the Plum Grove ARToptions collection. And I've got this little specimen card here, and I'm going to pop a magnet right in the center. And then I'm going to run my little belly band strip through that little window in my specimen card and adhere everything down. So it's almost like a little belt buckle, it looks like. That's the feel that I get from this. So I've got my magnet pinned in between those 2 pieces of cardstock there, and then my other little magnet decided to jump onto the back. So here we go. This is going to wrap around the front of my folio like so. And now I'm going to line this magnet up onto the back of my specimen card. And then I'm going to figure out where it's going to go. And I'm going to grab the little ticket here. And I'm going to sort of let those magnets meet together and move that little piece of ticket around so that my magnet is centered. I'll apply liquid glue, attach the 2 pieces together, and then close my little buckle around to the front of my folio and then press in that adhesive. Okay, and now my little ticket is attached to the front of my book right where I need it to be, and my magnet is buried underneath it. So we have a really pretty look, and I'm just going to use my bone folder to burnish in that adhesive. And then there we go. We have this magnetic closure. It's so gorgeous. I'm going to grab some of those laser die cuts. They're beautiful florals, and I'm just going to adhere them around and decorate my little buckle to make it a little extra special. So I'm using my liquid glue here. I've got a couple of those laser cuts, and then I have another one of those pieces of ephemera that says bold and beautiful, and I'm going to put that right across the front of my little specimen card. All right, there we go. This project is complete. This is so gorgeous and so pretty, and the colors in this collection are just right up my alley. It's got a distressed look, but it's also very elegant and colorful. Oh, the last thing I wanted to do was add a little bit of that fabric tape to the spine of my folio, just to help with the stress of opening and closing, to give it a little pop of color on the front, as well as a little bit of strength too. And now our envelope folio is complete. Look at how absolutely beautiful that is. What a wonderful gift this would be to give to someone for Mother's Day, or a thank you, or any occasion really. These are so gorgeous and so super easy to make using pattern paper and adhesive. So much fun. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I appreciate the support as always. Coming up on screen is a playlist for more 49 and Market collection projects that I've created. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!